skilled nursing facility. I was usually assigned to the Alzheimer's ward. One night, I'm in the linen room stocking my cart, and I hear someone shuffle up behind me. Then I felt a hand on my shoulder. I turned around and there was no one else in the room. The door was still shut too. Another lady started to complain that a man was coming into her room at night. Again, Alzheimer's, so I didn't think much of it. So to reassure her, I told her I'd check on her throughout the night. She complained of this man every night for 2 more weeks when I asked her to describe him to me. He's real handsome and wears a black suit. Oh, he's right behind you now, honey. That freaked me the fuck out. Of course, there was no one behind me. She died the next night in her sleep. I did my clinical as a CNA in a memory care unit. I helped feed this woman. She never really moved, never talked. It was like she was in a coma or something. I would wheel her into the dining room. I could hardly get any real food in her. For days she doesn't move or have any response. I'm feeding her and talking to myself pretty much. After about 10 minutes, she slowly turns her head and says, "Oh, hello." Then she rotates her head back to her blank staring position. When I was a student, I got called in on a stroke patient. She had coded and they were doing CPR. They worked for 45 minutes, but she died. They cleaned her up and called on the family to say goodbye. By the time the family left, she had been both brain dead and without a pulse for more than 45 minutes. Blood had filled her brain, and she was completely grey and started to smell. Suddenly, she sat up and called for her family. The nurses rushed to get monitors and equipment back on her. Started working on her again. She stabilised, said goodbye to her family, and promptly died a second time. This might get buried and is not really nurse related other than the fact my grandmother's nurse told me. My great grandmother was 94 and just started suffering from dementia. She told the home nurses and me that there was a little boy in the corner of the living room who would taunt and tease my great grandmother while laughing at her, telling her she was going to die. Well, at first it was a little disturbing. We all shrugged it off because of her dementia. But then shit got real when my best friend came over with this little boy who was about 3 or 4. The little guy pointed over to the same corner and yelled, "I'm going to beat you up." When we asked him what that was about, he told us that he saw another little boy in the corner and he is not nice. We flipped the fuck out. I got shivers just typing this. Maybe Nana wasn't hallucinating. Nurse here. I worked the night shift when a ward patient's relative came running to the nurse's station in a panic. "Nurse, come quick," she cried. "What happened?" "You have to see it for yourself." I ran to the ward where this little old lady patient was crying and holding onto the bed for dear life. Her bed was shaking. Now you're probably thinking if the lady was the one causing all that shaking, but she was this frail, practically emaciated thing. She couldn't have barely rattled the bed rails. The ward had only 2 other patients in it and their respective watchers. Everyone was huddled in a corner, shaking in fright. Apparently that particular ward was seldom used, and the bed that old lady lay in was rarely occupied. People who have laid in it complained of nightmares where they hear screams and laughter of angry children. I guess some restless spirit called dibs on that particular bed.